Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm excited to share with you the first Glycine that I featured on the channel to date. This is the Airman #1. Now this one was lent in by my friend out there in California, Wally, who let me know that this was a grail acquisition of his. So that's really cool. This is an honor to share it with you guys on the channel. This is an interesting watch for a couple reasons. Now let's get in a little bit about the history because I feel that's important to understand this model. It was released in 1953. It was announced at Basel, right alongside Rolex announcing their GMT Master, their pilot's watch or their traveler's piece. Glycine came out with this design. Now, it kind of stemmed from talking with a pilot who said, you know, I really want a waterproof watch that has a 24-hour dial and rotating 24-hour bezel, and I'd like it to be automatic. So Glycine came out with this. As you can see, it definitely has a 24-hour bezel. It does slide in two different directions. You unscrew the crown at the lower position, and then you can move the bezel. And then if you want to fix it, you just screw it back in. And then if you look at the dial, as opposed to the standard 12 layout, this is laid out in 24 segments. So it's a really interesting design. It's not something that had been done before. And so I think that's pretty interesting. We'll get into that a little bit more. Now, the other reason I think this is an interesting watch that I enjoy is it feels thoroughly vintage. It feels like you're holding a 50, 60-year-old watch in your hands. Partly because this one is the 36 millimeter version, the original size of the first gen Airman. And because of the size, because of the weight of the watch, because that they are using an acrylic crystal, it just definitely feels like a vintage piece, although this one obviously is a modern watch. Now this version was limited to 1,000 units, and you can see on the case back, they number this one. This one is number 91 of 1,000, so a very low production number. That's pretty cool. Now I'll throw the other dimensions here on the screen so you guys can see the height and the lug to lug. It's a very wearable watch. And I like how wide the lugs are compared to the overall size and diameter of the piece. It ends up looking a little bit aggressive on wrist, which I find to be pretty attractive. I like the stainless steel, the black and the white, and the very subtle use of red on the date aperture at the 3 o'clock position. I think that looks really good. Now let me drop a picture of the original Airman. You can see Glycine was very faithful to that original design. The only thing, besides a little dial variance when it comes to the text, is the crystal no longer has the square magnifier. But other than that, it is very true to that original design. Now going in on some detail on the dial, I really like how Glycine flips the numbers across the middle of the watch. So if you're looking at the top, you can easily read the 50, the 55, and then you go down to the bottom and the orientation flips the opposite way for ease for reading. And I think that's a cool little detail. Now let's zoom back out. I'll give you my final thoughts here. What do I think about the watch? I think it's a really cool watch. It has some fun history. Definitely has that vintage vibe to it. What could be improved? The luminescence really is nothing to write home about. The hands actually have some pretty decent lume application, but the little dots on the dial are very weakly printed. And so it's not super legible in low light situations, which is a shame because, if you're going to be traveling, if you're a pilot and the cockpit is dimly lit, you want to be able to easily read your watch. So definitely the lume could be improved. Now, I know this watch is not for everybody. Some people don't like the feel of vintage. Some people don't like the smaller sizes by today's sport watch standards. So Glycine does offer some larger diameter versions, which might be more to your liking. I like the 36 millimeter version, the small version. I don't know, just going true or sticking with the original size, I think adds some more credibility to this watch and some more tie-in to that original design that I think is cool. So let's go back to this dial. The 24-hour layout definitely takes a little bit of getting used to. So if this was just a normal watch, the standard 12-hour layout, it would appear like it's somewhere like 440, right? But actually it's about 840. It takes some getting used to, but it's kind of an interesting concept. The movement that Glycine uses, they call the GL293, but it's a Sellita SW330-1. So 25 joules, 4 hertz beat frequency, and a 42-hour power reserve. They just modify it so that the hour hand rotates around the dial at half speed. So it can get, instead of 2 rotations per 24 hours, just 1. So very interesting movement and dial. I think it's a cool watch, Wally. I really appreciate you sending this one in, letting me spend a little bit of time with your Grail. It has been an honor. I really appreciate it. And let me know if you guys have any questions. Please reach out to me. You can email me. You can reach out in the comment section. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.